Just time. In a minute, you do not find. You do not know. What about in a minute? Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you win, first address. Just time. In a minute, you do not find. Just be through down my enemy. Lose 500. We do not stop riding. Just time. In a minute, just be through down my enemy. What about things are now in motion? You do not know pain, you do not know. I'm gonna.
All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like I'm live. Looks like everything's all set up. A few new things. Only doing Twitch tonight, which means I'm allowed to do music, which is kind of nice because I like to hear something in the background when I'm working. I checked my levels, but I think everything should be good, but I don't want the music too high. I still want you to be able to hear me. But tonight I am just gonna take, let's see, move my even heat cozy. So tonight we're just gonna take this this piece right here. This is 5 inches of 1084. I just want to do a simple drop point night tonight. Had a few other things going on earlier on this week, so it's kind of nice to just keep it a little relaxed. But if you've been here before, if you've watched one of my streams before, you'll notice there's now a new grinder cam. Check this out. Look at that, right above the grinder. So you'll be able to watch everything in real time. The camera's always existed. I just need to grab some pipe and bend it, and, you know, put it up in the ceiling to make it look better. And worked on some of the lighting in here as well. Reminds me, I need to check something. Bear with me while we're letting that piece heat up. I just want to see. I'll knock that down. Now, see, that's a lot nicer for me to forge it. Has a little bit of a bluish wash in there. Wondering why. But I can see how it really blends out the details on grinding. So who knows? Maybe I'll just leave it like this for forging. It's hard to tell, but I'm actually using Edison lights here in the shop, and so it just kind of gives a natural. It's just not as bright, you know. With the big LED lights, the big strip lights above me, they're so bright and really white, and it washes out all the colors. So, we're going to go ahead and start our forging out tonight. We're going to start by drawing this down. Wow, that really is bright on the screen up there. We're going to start by drawing this down to a point. So, we're almost there. Almost. Again, we'll take it easy tonight. So, the music is now being brought to you by Pretzel. What's nice about using the lavalier mic is I actually have it kind of loud here in the shop, but yet my lavalier mic doesn't pick it up, so. But boy, it just beats the regular quiet stream, you know? Oh, let's see. We're almost back to temperature. Tomorrow I'd like to get back to our regular streaming type schedule. Go a little earlier if I can. And now, you can see that. Pull up that camera. Almost down to the point that we want. We're going to end up stretching this 5 inches of steel out pretty good. I wonder why that gives such a blue cast when I don't have one overhead light on. I'm pretty sure as soon as I pull this string, well, I guess it's still there, it just lightens everything else up. Huh. Still doesn't bother me as much as having the one directly above my head, so. Almost at 10th again. So there we go. Now we're down to a point. What do I want to do next? I think I'm actually going to use the power hammer. I wanted to try something out, see if it's possible. So what I'm going to do is something close to what I call a classic style drop point. Sort of like, think about what you would have seen in the LLB catalogs back in the late 40s, early 50s. Or found in your grandfather's gun cabinet with hunting stuff. That kind of thing. So I'm going to use the power hammer to draw some of this down a little faster, but I'm also going to make a definitive break on our blade here. So you can see that in the anvil cam. Gonna do pretty much the exact same thing on the other side. I don't know, tonight's just a night of playing around with stuff. I didn't want to waste a lot of fuel. I've got a single day class coming up this weekend. And I've also got, what else is going on? Oh no. Something. I just can't remember. There we go. Good temp. You can kind of see how that's being transformed. I'm going to step in a little bit more. Oh, by all means. Good, Matt. Glad to hear. Not that I didn't talk to you earlier, but how are you doing today? It's a Twitch exclusive stream, so I can actually have music play. It's kind of cool. I think I've got enough length there. Puppies? I thought you just had one. Thanks. Yeah, I like the look. I like having the album art for what songs play down the corner. It works, I'd say, 95% of the time. A year old. Okay. So this is the pre-shaping that I'm doing on here. I'm going to come back through one more time and just smooth out what I've been working on. I want to switch these fonts out. Now I know which ones are the problem fonts. It looks similar in shape right now, but whereas the mushroom knife, see if you can, I guess I can put it down here. Still haven't finished sanding the handle yet. So the handle's still really rough. I'm not entirely in love with it, but you know, it's one of those things where I don't know, it's just for me. But this is more akin to one of those drop point knives you'd see in an old catalog. There we go. Now I got the length of the handle out. We're going to do the same thing on my blade here. That blade is still really thick when you compare it to the handle. But yeah, it's got that kind of pre-shape right now, but when I forge along that bevel, instead of just grinding the bevel, I'll forge that bevel out. Yeah, I've actually, it was warm enough today that I actually have to, I have the fan going over in the corner. Who knew? So, almost up to temp. Just like one little spot that I'd rather get a little hotter yet. It's not hot enough that I have the overhead fan on yet. Okay. I actually really like the look of what's happening here with those round dies. And it's giving me some ideas of stuff I can do on purpose. Like, for instance, if I wanted to do something as forward. I see something that could be kind of cool. But I'm going to give one more smoothing pass under the power hammer. Okay, that looks pretty consistent as far as thickness goes. So Matt, is the music too loud, too quiet? I still want people to be able to hear me over the music. Well, I also designed and built it, so, like, I should be able to use it better than everybody else. But I can do the same thing with a hand hammer, so... Cool, glad to hear. I did something earlier today before I went live where I just did a couple of recordings with me talking over it, and I realized it's kind of loud here in the shop, but my microphone doesn't pick it up, so that's a good thing. I guess it picks up things like the saw and the power hammer, but, you know, they're really loud. Otherwise, I'd have to grab my pair of Bluetooth headphones or something for down here. That way I can still hear the music. Now, I don't know how loud notifications are. Those can be really loud. So I have that speaker up front here kind of cranked. But hey, it's better than me working in silence. Alright. Just a little bit of cleanup. Now, let's go back to the anvil cam. Yeah, that's because I don't have it on YouTube mode. If I'm on YouTube mode, I get like 3 songs. That's it. Twitch apparently is a lot more lenient as far as music that's allowed to be played. So, hence the reason why I decided to go Twitch exclusive tonight. I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna go back to that dog's head hammer. Yeah, I don't get it. YouTube's just really strict. I mean, I guess they are the bigger platforms, so. I think I want to go a little wider with this, but not much. Yeah, I mean, this is a service that specifically does music for streaming, but YouTube uses a different they use a different licensing thing, you know, so. Give me a sec, I'll be right back. Gotta keep it a little quick, a little brief tonight. The ducks are still out, so. And I noticed one of the outdoor cats, who knows whose cat it is. I don't feed it, but I have a couple of eggs that I just had sitting outside the duck hut. So I threw an egg at a cat to keep it away, give it something to eat. I didn't try to hit the cat with it, but so I'm like, oh, the cats are taking notice to the ducks. I mean, I think they'd be in for a big fight, but still, I don't want to leave it. I don't want to leave it hanging open too long tonight. There we go. Nice little happy bevel. Now I'm going to bring some of this spine out. I'm going to incorporate some of this into there. Am I going to take some of that spine out, or am I going to leave it that way? I know it looks kind of rough at the moment. I'm gonna take a trip. I'm gonna take a trip through the power hammer, and that'll make sure our thickness is right. I'm so sorry, Jeff. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it does that. Oh, no, that's a nice taper. I like that. I think I'm going to just leave it as that. It's kind of hard if I'm not picking it up there, but we've got a nice overall shape. Jeff, if you can hear me, I promise. I promise I'll post this on YouTube later. So as soon as this cools down enough, we're going to be able to use the new camera position. We'll be able to use the grinder cam. So exciting. Yeah, I will say I think that with Pretzel using it for music, and I've actually got like the 9 hours worth of music without repeat if I'm just using it on Twitch only mode. Just another minute or so to cool down. I need a clock in here. One thing I think I need on the wall. I need a nice digital clock that I can see from everywhere. Doesn't look like we're getting any errors though on Twitch. That's good. So, if you happen to be watching this later on YouTube, I apologize that it wasn't live. I guess I can't technically even post this on YouTube. YouTube. You know what? I'll try. Let's see if they let it go. Or if they just, like, take all the audio out of it. That's essentially what they would do. Maybe I'll look into another music service. See if there's something out there that is good for going live on YouTube. All right. Hey, let's try out that new camera angle. There we go. So, we're going to start here by essentially doing the outline of this knife. And I'm going to start right here in the back. I don't know if you can see this. So you see how I just kind of ground that in right like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. Ever so slightly. Grind that tip down a little bit. Speaking of the tip,
way up higher than we've ever been. To a place words can't describe.
there we go.
Heard a whisper come from deep within. We were meant to share the light. Whoa, with our heads above the clouds, we can only show them now.
So far, so good. Come back to the handle. A little bit more. Just there. There we go. Yeah, it's only got to be good enough to heat treat. Oh yeah, that knife shape is coming out pretty quick. How's that look? Oh, yeah, you can see that. So here we go. I just spent an hour and my knife is almost where I want it. Okay. Put it in the hand. Let's feel that. Nope, I want to bring this forward just a hair. Good. I don't know. I don't know that I like that little buff up at the top of the knife. Whoops. Bring it back here. Got to get used to this. Now I think it's going to go away. Yeah, that looks better. Feels better too. So, let's see. Gonna grab one of the magnets. It doesn't take long to get all that scale off of there. Just got to be efficient about your time, right, Matt? So here we go, all scaled up. Whoops. So a little bit more. There you go. So you see it in the camera there now. All except for that bevel. It's all nice and shiny. So, turn that light on. Get my bevels in there. Get those plunge lines nice and defined. There we go. Beautiful. Now we'll just clean those up. Cool. Other side. Uh-oh, I might be out of gas. Sounds like it's sputtering over here. Oh, let's put a little bit more pressure on there. Uh-oh. Well, I was going to heat treat tonight. But it looks like I'm going to have to do that tomorrow. Let me at least get these holes drilled. Go. Now, obviously, I didn't do the all the exact measuring and everything, but so far, let's take a look what we got. So we're about what? I didn't even look at the time. So this is 48 minutes into the live stream. From a bar of steel to polished plunge lines. We are completely ready here. Completely ready to go ahead and normalize that blade and harden it. It's already fairly nice and straight. So I'm happy with that. It's also nice, and you can see where the plunge is right here. How it just comes down, nice even plunge lines. A little bit thicker than my thumbnail as far as the edge goes. Not by much. But that wasn't too bad for under 50 minutes, forging a knife, down to ready for heat treat. So, and I wasn't rushing or anything like that. It's really just, aside from the whole talking thing, that's kind of the pace that I work at. If I'm not talking, I'm moving a little faster. Probably would have been about 35 minutes. So, I'm going to double check these tanks out here really quick. Just make sure I didn't turn one of them off or something. Okay. Haha! It's not that I didn't turn one of them, or that I turned one of them off. I didn't turn one of them on. I was gonna say, I thought I had a full tank out there. So let's get that pressure where we need it. And let me just do a final pass here on just a final pass. I'm going to switch to an 80 grit belt. I just want to make sure that my edges are nice and even. Keep it consistent in the thickness. Actually, I lied. It's not 80 grit. I'm going to switch to 120. Mainly because I picked that first. So. There we go. I'm going to take it a little thinner than what I do in class. Not by much. There we go. We're just a little sharp there, so right towards stiff. Perfect. I can barely see what emoji that is, but so here we go. And I could take this a lot higher in polish. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do one quick pass just to bring the grain up to that 120 grit. Make sure it's all going in the right direction on the blade. That'll make it easier for me to sand later on. There we go. Beautiful. Perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and take that finished blade and we'll do our normalizing. Now normally I pull out the aluminum block for this. And it is handy, it's sitting right here. But what if you don't have an aluminum block? Let's see what else I might have. I've got some chunks of ceramic. There you go. If you have a forge, you might have a supply of these floating around. It's just insulated fire brick, the lightweight stuff, low density. See if we can set it up so you can actually see. how it cools down. So we're just gonna let that go another minute or so. This blade's pretty thin, so this is definitely not the 3/16 steel that I started out with. You don't have to put yours on it. Oh, cool. Awesome. And if you do this, you don't have to put it up on an angle like I did. That'll make your life a lot more complicated. I'm just doing this because, well, it looks better in a video. But you can actually see how it's cooling down, the thinner spots. And there is a slight fan blowing on that way across the shop, but now before I get too far into this, so I am ready to heat treat. What year is this? This is 2021, right? Wow. I guess I'll keep with my previous tradition. With the rare exception of certain Japanese chef's knives. Or just certain chef's knives in general. I stamp on one side of the blade on 1 year on even number years and the other side of the blade on odd number years. So don't ask me why, it's just the thing. Nobody else probably does that. It's just, I can tell you that it was an odd year when I made that. Which actually 2020 was kind of an odd year, so. So I'm just going to get this up to temperature. Stamp it, make sure it's straight. Oh. So now I'll just resume my, ideally you would do this before you do your thermocycling or normalizing. I see my album covers have disappeared. I guess I have time to go refresh that. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's test something. If I switch to a different camera angle, it's not refreshing the file. But I'm all the way over here to the computer. what do you know? And I bet you since the song is changing, oh look at that, the album changed as well. Love to know why that happens. It's like occasionally it just gets tired. Kind of cool to see how it's cooling down. And also spending a minimum amount of time in the forge, you'll notice that blade's not too scaled up. That's what made it real easy to clean up. The fact that I only took 30 minutes to, you know, go ahead and forge it. We'll dim the lights here for this. Just a little bit, I guess. Now, which light is making that mess? Right there in the center. Let's double check. It might be this one. Nope. Okay, so that light's still doing something. We'll check this light. Huh. Nope, it's got to be one of the other 9 lights in here. So, yeah, it's really nice and clean. Ah, so it's the forge. Yeah, man, go ahead. Just you got my text. Give me a text message. I'll take a look at it when I get up in the house. Unless it's one that I know off the top of my head. What's the name of it? All right, so that's cool. Here, we'll switch that. So that's nice and cool. Still, all of our lines are nice and clean. A little bit of oxidation on there, not much. And wonder if my stamp, yep, my touch mark comes out real nice. Hard to see with the light so dim in here, but so I'm assuming, yeah, the forge isn't doing any, just on, it's not even on that shot, just on the main shot. Or apparently, I need to put something up the block. Simon Stone, single burner. Yeah, I haven't seen that one off the top of my head, so I will say, like, I've owned a couple of NCs, And I'm not dissing NC. I think they're great forges. But I also think they're absolute gas hogs. So, I guess that's fine for a hobbyist, but when you're trying to run a business, so how do I answer that one? I'm gonna say I'm not a huge fan of plaster of Paris for the foundries. I've used them, I've made them. The problem with plaster of Paris is they do tend to hold, tend to hold a lot of moisture. And so they can do something called spalting, which is not something you want to be around. However, that being said, I have melted brass in them, I've melted bronze, aluminum, lead, you name it, I've done it in them. Just probably not as safely as I could have. Charcoal, like hard lump charcoal, really, it's nice to forge on. It's very clean. You won't get a lot of big scaling in there. However, I will say charcoal can get really expensive to burn. To give you an idea, $20 worth of charcoal lasts me about a tenth of what a $10 bag of soft coal does. Now, if you're handy with a welder, I mean, making a forge out of an old brake drum is pretty easy, pretty quick, and relatively low cost, unless you do, like, you can't see that in the camera, but this is actually a brake drum coal forge in the back, and I have a $140 blower on that, mainly because I teach a lot of classes, I do a lot of videos. I need that blower to be damn near silent. It's really hard to record in here in the first place, so as quiet as I can make that blower, the better. Other guys use hair dryers. I mean, I think they burn out a little bit too quick, but now, gas forges, on the other hand, you know, you have to look, how fine-tunable is it? Can you tune it to make it an oxidizing flame, or, you know, like, can you change how it actually burns? Because that's really going to matter. Your elevation is going to come into effect. The atmospheric pressure is going to come into effect. Being able to fine-tune how that forge burns is really, really nice. And you can minimize the amount of scaling on that. Speaking of scaling, before this scales up too much. Ah, Matt, I just saw your text message. Woo! That's a little bright. Alright, now you got me curious. Breaking out my phone here. Oh, okay. These are these, yeah, 160 bucks. I'll tell you this. I've been wanting... Oh, thanks for following. Yeah, I've really been wanting to try this forge for $160. I'm like, man, I could just put like 3 of them up here. That'd be great. Everybody can have their own forge during class. And let's face it, you're paying the $150, $160 for that burner and the regulator. Now, there are plans to build that burner online. But for knife making, who knows? I do know someone that has the 8-burner version of this. So for $160, I'm not going to tell you it's a bad idea. What I will say though is bring it over some afternoon and let's evaluate it. Let's do a live stream. All right, well, we're minimize amount of our amount of scaling there. Let's see. What did Matt do with my brush the other day? Because I'm going to blame it on you, Matt. You were the last person to use it here at the shop. God knows none of my students on Sunday did. Yeah, why not? I mean, let's make some content. Oh, thanks, Matt. Yeah, let's play a game. All right. So we're almost up to temperature for quenching. All right. Double checking we're straight. And 11 seconds into the oil. Went a little over there. That's fine. Looks nice and straight. Happy with that. Very happy with that. There we go. There's our finished knife blade. Let's get that in the heat treat oven really quick. And get our program going. Make sure there's nothing too flammable sitting on top of the oven. So I'm going to let this run overnight until it's done. I found it. It was on a chair. okay. I realize you're a couple of minutes behind me, so. Oh man, these brushes, like, they're worth their weight in gold. As a matter of fact, where I buy my brushes, there's a restaurant supply store in Lancaster. And then I just put regular, oh, you can see, that's just like a regular door handle, you know, that I go ahead and put on there. And they sell them for cleaning the flat tops and grills. They're not normal wire brushes. They've got these big, fat, flat bristles on there. And so they just really tear the scale off, which is really nice. Not Clark's, it's actually Lancaster Restaurant Supply. I believe they call it the restaurant store. But it's up on Old Philadelphia Pike. So, no, it's good. So what's our final time on that? A little bit of bullshit. Not much. Hour and 17 minutes. I probably started forging 5 minutes in. So hold on a second, I'm reading your message. So the heat treat oven, I could afford a small forge, live near a half dozen junkyards for leaf springs. So I do a lot of my hardening right here in the gas forge. As long as you know your temperatures and what colors you're supposed to be looking at, I see no reason why you can't get away with that. And quite frankly, a home oven works really well. The more important thing, I think, is a proper quench oil. Don't ever use spent motor oil. Motor oil is bad. It's got suffocants in there to make sure that it doesn't catch on fire, and the off-gassing from it can just poison the hell out of you. So don't do it. It's just a bad idea. That being said, canola oil is, depending on the grade of steel that you're doing, if you're sticking with something like 1075 or 1080, 1084, canola oil will work. It does not work all the time with 1095. Meaning, 7 blades will be perfect, but 3 blades won't, You also have to preheat it. Yeah, you also have to, if you're using canola oil, you need to preheat it to about 128 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason being is we're trying to increase the viscosity. Essentially, we want that oil thin so it carries the heat away fast enough. Now, canola oil's rather cheap. I don't know, like $8-9 a gallon. Another thing you can get if you want to go a little bit more pure, you can go ahead and get mineral oil. And if you live near a farm or agriculture supply store, you can buy mineral oil as a livestock laxative. It's basically baby oil without the scent, but it's food grade. I like mineral oil, it's okay, but what I use here in the shop is something called Parks 50. After shipping and everything else, 60, it really depends on when I order it. I've seen it really kind of cheap, but I think the average price I've paid is about $65 a gallon to have it shipped to my door, mainly because you're buying 5 gallons at a time. The other thing is, don't try to quench in a coffee can. If I would say a minimum of 2 gallons is what you want. You don't want something that is going to heat up and catch on fire. You want to draw as much heat away as possible. So the more volume you have in your quench tank, the better. I'm a huge believer that 5 gallons is where you want to be. But I do know some guys that are quenching it like, they'll get like a 5-gallon steel bucket and they'll fill it halfway, so 2.5 gallons. It limits how big of a blade you can do, but if you see my quench tank, you can see the top of it right here. And that's, about 48 inches, about 4 foot tall, I guess. It's not, it can't be 48 inches. It's probably about 41 inches tall. And then I have a larger quench tank that I keep outside that I very rarely use anymore because I don't do swords all that often. But that one stands about this tall, and so I can do just about any size blade I want to with that. But it holds roughly the same volume. Yeah, well, you're talking to a guy that's I'm a Lancaster County boy in Pennsylvania, so I think about things in terms of agriculture stores and where you can get different things. Now, I would say overusing the leaf spring. There's a couple of metal suppliers online, such as New Jersey Steel Baron. Also, one that I use an awful lot is Admiral Steel. New Jersey Steel Baron, obviously in New Jersey. Admiral Steel out of Illinois. Order some steel that you know what it is. Whether that steel is, I would stick with the 10 series. I wouldn't go any higher than 1084. But let's just say you go with 1084. The reason why I'm telling you to do that versus leaf springs is because leaf springs change. You have no idea what the steel is in that leaf spring. And they may have switched to a different alloy mid-run because they got it cheaper. Just because it makes a good spring doesn't mean it makes a good knife. So, and because you don't know exactly what grade of steel it is, when something goes wrong with your heat treat, if you don't know what grade of steel it is, I can't tell you. No one can tell you what you did wrong. It could be your temperature, it could be the time, it could be, there's a whole bunch of different factors that go into it. So if you stick with a known steel, and I'll show you a bar. So here you go. That's a 5-foot bar, 3/16 of an inch thick by 1.25 inches wide. This will run you about $16 to $19. That's really not bad when you're learning. You can play around with junk steels. That's great. But the cost and the aggravation, especially if you have a job, and all you get to do is play around with it on the weekends, why sit there and pull your hair out for an extra $3 that it's going to cost you for steel? I mean, it's so worth it. It's absolutely worth it. And then you can go onto forums and say, so I'm quenching 1075, and I quenched it at this temperature, then I tempered it at this temperature, I held it for this long, here's what happened. Why do you think this happened? And people can actually look at it and basically reverse engineer your science and figure out what's going on. But if you say, I don't know, I've got this piece of leaf spring here, I don't know what grade this is. I could assume that maybe it was 5160, but it could be 9240. Could be 9160. I don't know. What category of steel is it? What family of steel is it? And so it may not it could be, 95-30 or something weird, So your time's valuable is what I'm saying. And take it as you will, to like dropping, if you do a $100 steel order, you'll probably have all the steel that you want to mess around with for a year and a half, 2 years. Because your shipping is pretty much going to be the same for the first 100 pounds. It's really not gonna get you much. Yeah, exactly. And also think about it. What was the life of that leaf spring before you bought it? Was that from a 1-ton pickup truck that Bob loaded down with 3 tons of firewood every weekend for 15 years and drove down those backcountry logging roads? The old fire roads that we have around here. Man, maybe he beat the hell out of that leaf spring. You don't know how many microfractures are in there. It's really disappointing, especially when you're sitting there and you're hand sanding after quenching. You've already put all this work into that blade. Granted, I just forged one out in under an hour and got it heat treated. But most people starting out, it's several hours, and the sanding is more and everything else. And so by the time if you start that on a Friday night, and by Sunday you're into hand sanding, boy, you see what you think is a hair on that piece of steel, only to realize that it's actually a microfracture. You're gonna be really upset. It's gonna be a waste of time, because now that's not a blade that's even safe to use, because it can go ahead and see. Yeah, think about their previous life. It just, you've seen those old guys that, well, you've probably seen the young guys too, that they beat the shit out of their trucks. Well, do you want to buy that secondhand? Probably not. And when you're talking about making a sharpened piece of steel out of it, do you want to go ahead and baton through, even the weeds with it? You hit a stone, and next thing you know, that blade breaks in half, and part of it flies in your eye. I mean, nah, man. And like I said, the most important thing, your time is more valuable than that. As you learn more about forging, you can take risks with, junk steel, because you're also going to notice, you're going to be able to start recognizing where those, what a microfracture looks like in the heat. And you'll get, 20 minutes into forging something and say, okay, I see something here. Nope, I don't like that. Let's cut another piece, move further down that bar. However, that being said, I do use them. The reason I keep, you can see there's a whole pile of leaf springs back here. I keep them here in the shop to make things like chisels, punches, various tools that are kind of a one-time thing. Well, I just heat it up, bring it over to the power hammer, forge it out to what I want, and there you go. I mean, I'm not saying they don't have their purpose, and I'm not saying they're not great to learn on. However, most people, especially when some of these books were written that talked about using junkyard steels, people were working their 38 to 42 hours a week, and that was it. Now it's like, man, we're a little bit busier as a culture, and I think when you have a wife and kids and everything else, just friends, you want to still have a social life. I don't know. Make that time worth it. So to go out and spend $20 to have a fresh bar of steel delivered from the mill, might as well do it. I mean, that's half the battle right there. I didn't mean to go off on a rant about junkyard steels, but, it's just something I feel passionately about. And just like I see guys that go out and they buy a a 1x30 grinder from Harbor Freight. Well, I get that, you know, it's on sale for $65, $70, but at the same time, your belts cost the same amount that my 2x72 belts cost. Especially if you're getting quality belts. It's only got a third or a quarter horsepower motor, and so you can't push into it, you can't really take all that much off, and your belts die 6 times more often than my belts die. So I spent the same amount of money, you just spent 6 times more to operate your grinder. Well, why didn't you spend 6 times more to buy one grinder and go ahead and now all of a sudden, I mean, granted, I guess $360, I don't know, you could find a decent 2x72 right now for about $600, mainly from Grizzly. So yeah, I've done that before too. Yeah, if you see, so I've actually got 4 grinders here in the shop. I'll throw them up here on the screen. Now those 2 are both the same grinder. One's set up horizontally, and one is set up vertically. And if you go back and watch this stream again, you'll see me grinding, you know, today's knife on them. But it's a nice big belt with a lot of surface area. And even with cheap belts, I mean, it just lasts. It lasts forever. So, but I don't know. This is the stuff that I like doing. I love forging something and answering questions. You know, there's a lot of new guys out there that are afraid to ask questions. I don't think you should be. You know, you got to learn somewhere. And I don't know. I teach classes every weekend, so I'm used to having anywhere between 3 and 7 students every weekend, and that's what I've been doing since, well, full time since 2014. So my whole thing is passing everything on to everybody else. You know, I want people to take pride in their work. I want people to learn how to work with their hands, and I think that the sweat equity that you get into something is just, man, it's so worthwhile. It really is. Boy, I'm so glad that I have this even heat cozy. See, look at that. This is what happens when you buy a $3,600 heat treat oven. Or technically, I guess, when you buy 2, you get a free koozie for your cans. So, you know, I'm just saying, if you're willing to spend $7 grand on your heat treat oven, you get a free beer koozie. That's kind of nice. And stickers for your car. However, I do want to write them because the stickers have faded. They bleach out. And I need some for my my coffee service. Yeah, totally worth it, right, Matt? But, however, you don't need, unless you're doing things like stabilizing steel. There's certain steels, like the S series of steels, that I'm heating up and I'm holding at 1200 degrees for 2 hours when I'm making like various tools or hammers with. Those steels require different temperatures. But when you're dealing with like the 10 series of steel, even 41, stuff like that, for a lot of applications, most knife making applications, or even chisels and punches, I would say your home oven, if it gets to 550 degrees, that's gonna hold heat so much better than. I definitely recommend that over a toaster oven. And if you're married and your wife looks at you like you're not putting that in my oven, just tell her you're gonna wrap it with foil. And that way, you know, it's just a foil packet in her oven. You can probably throw it in during dinner, you know, while she makes dinner. She'll just be glad that you're taking interest in helping out. Dude, okay, so you said restaurant manager during the week. That's how I got started in this job. I was a restaurant manager from 1997 until 2006. I left the restaurant, and within 6 months, I started doing this full time. So. Oh no, apparently my bot is yelling at me. Oh, so you work on friends' cars during the weekend. I mean, hey. I think this is something. I first brought my son into the shop. Well, I first brought my son into the shop when he was really, really little. But the very first time that I brought him in and I did a class with him. Now, he's 21 now. But I actually tested my teaching method with my son when he was 10. And so I made my 10-year-old kid basically get abused from me for an entire weekend. And when I say that, I mean bossing him around. He wasn't allowed to like play video games or do anything else. He had to actually work in the shop. And you know, but at the end of it, he made an awesome knife, his first knife. And you know, I think that it's really important to teach our kids to do things with their hands, even if they're never going to use it again. You never know when that situation is going to happen. That, boy, being able to say, I can do, or I think I have a solution, it just teaches you to think outside the box, you know? So who is Streamlabs yelling at? Oh! It was yelling at you, Matt. Been using too many caps, man. I mean, let's face it, nobody likes all those caps bombs. I kind of set up a bot, but I haven't actually done too much. Yeah, it's just I can't scroll back and forth on here. Hey, you know what? 6 and 4. Probably my daughter's 6, and I have a feeling this summer we might end up going live with her actually forging something out. Like, I think she wants to do it. She wants to be involved. And yes, while it is dangerous, there are many things that we can do as parents to minimize the risk. And, I mean, again, teaching kids that you can make something in person from raw materials, dude, that's priceless. Really is. Yeah, if I do that with my daughter, if I bring her in here to the shop and we just forge like an S-hook or something like that, the only downside is I'm gonna have a little tiny anvil, which she has her own anvil. It's a 65-pound Fisher, So it looks just like this, just smaller. You know, or like this one, just smaller. So it's like 65 pounds. It's only like that big. But I know how I am. It'll be here in the shop for 3 days afterwards, and I'll just eventually get sick and tired of tripping over it. So that's what happens. And Matt, going back to our previous conversation from an hour ago, I'm so glad that I'm only doing this on Twitch tonight because I can actually listen to music in the shop. So that's just kind of nice. I don't even care what's playing. I just care about the background noise, you know? And I realize I'm talking over it, but still. It made it so much better than just being dead quiet in here. Ugh. Boy, I still got that acid burn on here. This was, I set a cup of ferric chloride on there. Yeah, and I don't think this is actually RPM music yet, so, so far, so good. It's just when I simulcast this on YouTube, then I have to, I don't know, I guess maybe I'll just put headphones on. That way I can hear the music, but nobody else can. But I think it'll be nice for the replay. You know, those moments where I'm not talking, let's face it, it's kind of boring when you just hear the forge going or just the power hammer going, you know. My only real annoyance is the fact that my album cover art is not displaying all the time. So, you know, I'll be writing to Pretzel support later on. So, where are you in South Carolina? Wilson County. Oh, North Carolina. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend. Beautiful areas, though. Like, that whole area of the country is just really nice. Nice. Well, I'm up here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Actually, technically, I'm in Dauphin County. I'm 3 minutes over the border. I was born and raised in Lancaster, and but now I am 5 minutes away from, you may have heard of it, it's a place called Hershey. They, like, have an amusement park and, oh, I guess a couple of chocolate factories as well, like Hershey's and Reese's and San Giorgio Pasta and a bunch of other things. But, yeah, so I'm 5 minutes outside of Hershey, but I'm still out in the middle of nowhere. You know, I'm surrounded by state game lands, so I hunt right out back right through that door, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it has a nice ring to it anyway. There's a Hershey Cuba as well, but I'm not joking about that, there really is. No, they still make their chocolate here in Hershey. That's just propaganda. I know too many people that work at Hershey. They'd spill the cocoa beans, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not saying they don't make certain products out of the country, but Lies. Yes, all lies. You know, this whole area is really weird when you think about it. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, dude, I feel blessed. I've got 2 acres where I am, and right behind me is about 600 acres of all public hunting land, and that's owned by the state, so it'll never be developed. And I've got a neighbor about 1,000 yards away to the east. My next door neighbor over here, like right behind the shop, has a 50-yard industrial scrapyard. And I've been meaning to go over there. I actually have a reason to go over. So, but I never take advantage of it. Aside from when COVID first hit, I designed and built that power hammer because I found a forklift tire out in Bobby's back 40. So, nothing wrong with that, man. You gotta love country life. You can't do this when you live in a city row home. I'm just saying. Well, I guess you can, but your neighbors are going to get really pissed when you burn down the whole entire block. Or when you're like, I can still forge at 9 o'clock at night. My neighbor has Tonka toys that are like old mining equipment kind of stuff. So, like, Bobby's out there crushing materials that are going to get recycled tomorrow. And he might do that at 10 o'clock at night during the summer. So he doesn't complain about me forging. I don't complain about him doing what it is he does for a living. But it's also cool to walk through the junkyard, or scrapyard, really. I mean, there's nothing back there that's junk. It's all military surplus, power company surplus, and some, actually food processing equipment, because Hershey. Yeah, dude, you don't want to, like, I know of somebody that, this was a couple of years ago here in our area, they tried forging in the basement of their townhome. And, I mean, that's a setup for a Darwin Award if I ever heard of it. Don't ever run a forge indoors. Don't run a forge in something attached to your house. Something can go wrong. You knock over the quench tank, it catches on fire. The whole place is on fire. Make sure there's a nice distance between that and where you actually live. Sit there, break out the marshmallows, maybe, find that, like, 10-year-old pack of cigarettes floating around in your drawer and smoke a cigarette and go, well, glad it wasn't my house. But yeah, even guys that are doing it in their garage, I'm a little leery about that. I don't think anything connected to my domicile I would not be forging it. If this shop burns down, yeah, I've got a couple $100,000 worth of equipment. But at the same time, I still have a place to sleep tonight. That's better than anything else. And God knows the insurance company would just look at you and say, "What were you doing?" Oh, it's not your garage. What, it's your neighbor's garage? Yeah, and I have no problem with storing stuff inside. I'm just saying, when you go to store stuff inside, you typically detach it. It's not running. If you had gas going or even embers in a coal forge, I think just leave it outside overnight. Bring it in the morning. that's just my own personal beliefs. Crazy shit happens. But that's just, you know, that's my personal opinion, and I'm throwing out my my little disclaimer out there. That way I can't be held liable when you want to set up your shop inside a garage, Matt. But yeah, I mean, yeah, man, you gotta keep the grill and smoker intact. I mean, God, don't ever let anything happen to that. That'd be horrible. No, there's just some common sense, you know. If you're going to be foraging outside, though, I will highly recommend go to what's that place? Go to a Harbor Freight or even Amazon, and get one of those like 10x10 pop-up tents. Because I'll tell you, direct sunlight is going to be your worst enemy as far as being able to tell the temperature of your steel. Yep. Well, you know, as men, we don't really mind that. It's just it makes you hungry every time you go to get in the car. You know. Quite frankly, if somebody made like hickory smoked, you know, soap. But yeah, like, if you're foraging outside, I'm just saying, you want to stop that direct sunlight, especially at, like, noon to 2:30. Man, that thing, you know, it's shining down on the anvil, it's blinding you, but it's really, you just want to keep that bright sun off of there, and maybe even set up, like, a little wooden box, something where you can put it in and kind of look in shadow, so you can really see the colors, because those colors are so important. You know, that's how we tell temperature. And you can look up, there's something called the Tempel scale, T-E-M-P-I-L. But you can look up the Tempel temperature scale, and that'll give you a good idea as to what different colors correlate as in temperature. And you can find it in both centigrade and Fahrenheit, so it all depends on what you want to. It all depends on what you want to keep in that fridge. That's just an excuse to go out and buy a smoker and start making bacon. I mean, or it could be. I've got a sister who lives in the boondocks in Peckway, but I don't think it's the same person. By the way, if you haven't caught that earlier, Matt there, the person who just chatted, he and I, Matt was actually in the shop. We went live this past Thursday, so that was kind of cool. And I guess we went live on Saturday as well, didn't we? You will never go wrong with a smoker. I mean, I'm just saying. I did fresh hams for Easter, and I had never made a ham from just a pork shoulder before. And I'll tell you, some cherry wood smoke. Mom did. I then took it over to my parents, and I dropped it off the night before Easter. And now I was talking about the Saturday beforehand. But But yeah, like I did that that ham for Easter, and with the cherry wood smoke, and Mom tried a little bit of it, you know, because she wanted to do some like weird glaze on top. Like she was saying something like, "Oh, I'm gonna do a ginger ale glaze." And I'm like, "Don't ruin my ham." And man, with that cherry wood, that was just absolutely perfect. Now it was it's 2 weeks in the brine, and then smoked, but that was just a perfect ham. And you can't buy stuff like that from the store anymore. Oh man! Now, do you say pecan or pecan? Because there's people around here that say pecan pie, and then there's also people that say pecan. And I figure where you are, okay, pecan. Well, I figure where you are, you could probably be a little bit more authoritative on that. So, and I'll tell you, pecan wood, that's pretty good in the smoker. You know, if somebody's just reading the messages and not listening to what we're talking about, they're gonna see like our phonetic explanations. They're gonna start thinking some weird shit. I'm just saying, but. Oh, let me check that heat treat of it. All right, one more of these, and then I'm gonna get out of here for the night. But one more. Well, you know, you could always just build a beehive. I know plenty of people that you know just build the hive. They buy their whole setup. Hey, good night, Matt. We'll talk to you later. But yeah, they just buy their whole setup. I mean, there's something about blacksmithing and being an apiarist, which I guess is the technical term for beekeeper. Well, yeah, it's like a box that just magically creates sugar. I mean, let's face it, that's just a... I see the attractiveness, I really do. But, yeah, like, there's a huge correlation between guys that keep bees and blacksmith. And I have no idea why that is, but maybe it's just you like the idea of, you know, being able to strike it out on your own. Do your own thing. But seriously, man, I'm so glad you actually found the channel, or so glad you found the live stream. Really, really awesome having somebody new to talk to. Normally there's a few other people in here talking, mainly because I broadcast on YouTube as well, and so I have a few thousand followers on YouTube. I just started this Twitch thing and started building it up. And quite frankly, I like Twitch better. And I've said that before when videos are going to YouTube. So, So that's just something I've been, you know, kicking around. Today I decided, we're just going Twitch. But yeah, normally there's a couple of other guys from all around the world. It all depends on what time I start streaming. Today I was running a tractor and, well, basically doing some farm work. So, I wasn't able to get here, you know. I got back to the house around 6, but then I had to get everything all set up and, you know, configured and do all the other stuff. I like to actually start live streaming around 6 p.m., but I think I've got some guys in the Netherlands and Germany that watch as well, and so they're really appreciative when I start, you know, like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That doesn't necessarily happen very often anymore, but no, seriously, man, I'm so glad that you found the live stream. Thank you so much for following. Really appreciate it. Trying to build up the audience here on Twitch and get myself to affiliate level. Yay! So that's my next goal. I guess if I was streaming video games, that probably wouldn't be all that hard. But it's a little bit different when you're just forging a knife, you know, or forging multiple knives. I don't know, although tomorrow night I think I'm going to go live again. And I think I've been wanting to do a Viking style tomahawk. Or Viking style small axe, whatever you want to say. Something kind of like this, but I want to do a little bit more of a beard on it. And so that's forge welding and a couple of other, you know, fun little processes involved. But I think that's what I've really been tempted to do. So we'll see what happens. It could just be finishing up that knife from today. Who knows? Or I could end up getting really distracted. I'm really big into mushroom hunting. And so, earlier this week, I forged out, or I'll bring it down to the camera down here. So I forged out this knife, and I haven't finished sanding the handle yet, so excuse me, it's a little rough and crude. But this is going to be my mushroom hunting knife, since morels just started popping last week here. And I went out today, looked, and the morels, while they're out, they're not all over the place just yet. Oh, that'd be awesome! Yeah, I really like the makers category. I've seen some really interesting things. As far as blacksmiths go, yeah, a lot of the guys, as far as I know, I think I'm the only, like, I'm a professional bladesmith. I make blades. That's what I've always done. It's been 26 years now that I've been doing this. So, I will be the first to admit I suck at ornamental blacksmithing. I can do it. I can pull it off. It just takes me forever. I can hammer out a knife in about 20 minutes. So for the stream, I tend to dial it back a little bit. But, and I really, the reason I like this is because there's a lot of science involved. There's a lot of, you know, that science and mathematics and everything else. And you can't get that just by watching a YouTube video. You need to have somebody pressing you for questions, asking why this happens. And I think this is the perfect media or medium for that to actually occur in. So and I tend to watch the chat because if if you've been in the shop, you know what it was like. But I have a 32-inch screen right in front of me, right here where I'm pointing, and so I can read the chat in there. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, why not? That's what I'm here for. I'm just drinking beer, hanging out, and having a good time. So, basically, the same things I'd be doing if I wasn't going live. I mean, I hate to say it, but after 26 years, yeah, that's pretty much what my life has become. And it's not real beer, it's Miller Lite, so. As long as I don't, well, I'm not going to say that because I know they sponsor other channels on Twitch. So, I would say as long as it's not another light beer that I know of. Sell kegs of it, yeah. I'm sure. When I was running the restaurant, now we were also microbrewered, so we made our own beer, but we also sold stuff from the mega breweries. And yeah, Miller Lite, I'd say we were 4 kegs a week. Guinness, we were 2. Now we were a Pennsylvania, restaurant, so Yingling was always the local swill. Gosh, that stuff was $1.75 a draft on tap, and apparently I think it's even made it down into your area. I know they have a brewery, I guess, in Florida, and it's been selling like gangbusters, but for us, that was just a local headache. Wow, so you do sell Yingling, huh? Yeah, that was the local shit beer for us. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. I'm about 40 minutes from the brewery, so. But Pennsylvania had about 2,500 different breweries at one point in time. Yeah, I'm a huge Guinness fan, but when I'm foraging, believe it or not, Miller Lite, something cold and tasteless. Kind of, I don't know, like imagine what you think an ex-wife should be. Cold and tasteless, and yeah. But it's that whole thing where, like, I drink a lot of iced tea during the day, but I can't sit here and drink sugar while I'm standing next to a 2,300 degree forge and actually working. It just doesn't work out all that well. But beer, on the other hand, it's light, it's refreshing, and this stuff's like, what, 4% alcohol? I mean, 3.9 or something like that. However, if I could drink Guinness while foraging, I would, but that means I'd have to change the tap system that we used to have here in the shop, because I'll pay the money for a keg. I'm not going to be buying Guinness at $40 a case. Not the way I drink beer, anyway. But when I was still a bartender back in like the early 2000s, I used to drink probably about 16 pints of Guinness a night. And that's because we had a rule that once you were done with your shift, it was only $2 a beer. So anything you wanted on draft. As long as it was on draft, $2. Yeah, $30 a keg, that'd be awesome. There's another local beer here that I really, like, I absolutely love. It's called Lion's Head, and it's a Czech-style Pilsner, and it's just beautiful. It's great. That's $80 a keg, mainly because I'm like the only guy that gets it in a keg. But it's only $15 a case for glass bottles. So, you know, it makes you feel like you're living the good life for $15 a week. But I really miss the restaurant industry. I don't miss where, you know, when I was just running the bar, that was one thing. When I had to start dealing with all the kitchen staff, specials, and you know, so I'd spend my time developing the Friday specials on Thursday, and you know, and then trying to get guys that had never been to culinary school, like trying to teach them different techniques and things like that. It was a little rough, but you know, our seating was what, 175 inside, 300 outside, and then we had two other restaurants in the same building. One of them only held 40 people, and the other would hold another 120. So you know, decent amount of customers for one night. Oh yeah, well we had a huge beer garden, so that was the big draw, man. People would come during the winter, and they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait!" You know, that first warm day. And we'd have warm days in like February or March, where yeah, we might have had snow the night before, but we'll go out and brush off the tables because people wanted to sit out there by like a nice fire or something, and you know, have dinner at night. So. I mean, I had a kitchen staff of, I had a kitchen staff of 18, I want to say. And I don't even know what half of them did. I'll be honest now. I mean, looking back on it, 2021, I left the restaurant industry in 2006. So, it's been a few years, but there are still days that I really, really miss. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of, I don't know. There's a pace that goes along with it, and I don't get that so much here because most of the stuff that I do is hurry up and wait. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a pace, 100 miles an hour. You're absolutely correct. Except when you're working in the restaurant, you develop this sixth sense. That is when somebody's coming up behind you, and you've got you know, a tray of food, and it's just like this whole spatial awareness that I wish people would get in this environment. I still have it, mainly because I went from one to the other, but because I teach so many classes in here, you know, 50 classes, well actually about 70 classes a year that I teach out of the shop, and I love it when I have, you know, somebody that was wait staff, you know, a waiter or a waitress that was in here, and man, it's like you can tell they come over to the forge and they can feel somebody like coming up behind them, and they just kind of step over to the side, wait, and then they, you know, make their next action. You can always tell. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night. It was great talking with you. I appreciate you being here. I hope you tune in again. And I'll obviously, I know there's a slight delay, so, you know. If you want to say anything, by all means, speak your piece now. My batteries are, I'm at 2/3, I guess, so I'm still good on the battery life. Yeah, you got to. You grow eyes in the back of your head. Just the way it is. Hey, awesome. Really nice meeting you. My name's Jay, by the way. So, you can, and that's just the letter J. So it makes it even easier to type. Just feel like, hey Jay, how you doing? You know. My parents were too cheap to give me a full 3-letter name. That's my story, I'm sticking to it. But it is actually that way on my birth certificate. If you knew my last name, it's so damn long, you would understand why they just gave me a letter. Like, boy, this kid's gonna be writing forever. So, yeah, let's just give him a letter, and, that'll make up for everything. But yeah, when you're not at work, hell, even if you are at work, I mean, I'm not gonna judge. But I appreciate you tuning in. Great questions tonight, and if you think of new ones, you can feel free to send me a direct message as well. I'll try to reply. So, yep, you have a great night as well. We'll catch you on the flip side, brother. And everybody else, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.
Just in a minute. You do not know bills. What about in a minute? Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you mean first Tetris. Just time. In a minute. Just ease through down my enemy.